How's it going, folks? Time to do a bit of maintenance on this broad ripple yellow currant behind me here that's grown all over the top of the chook pen. It's had a fantastic winter or cool month period, growing period. It's laden with fruit at the moment, so I'm going to take them off as well, turn it into a bit of a tomato sauce. The plant itself, the one on this side at least, is the original. It's growing out of some pavers that just decided to pop up all by itself, and I think we've got a couple of plants that have started over the other side, maybe from some fruit that dropped last year from this mother plant. So I'll bring you in anyway and give you a bit of a look at it. There's a couple of dying leaves and branches and whatnot, so I thought give it a bit of a haircut. Hopefully it'll give it a bit of a kickstart. Now we're coming into spring, hopefully in a couple of weeks time. So anyway, let's get cracking. So I'm just down here with the girls, just to show you where this tree is growing from. Just between those two pavers there, you can probably make out on the right hand side where the root's growing along the gap in the pavers. There's two main trunks coming up there. I don't know if it's just from one seed or whether it's from two, but yeah, it is a pretty impressive plant. Absolutely laden with fruit at the moment. We find these guys a nice sweet little cherry tomato. We put them in salads, also make up sauces and whatnot out of them. But as you can see, there's also a lot of dead and dying leaves up there. And there's also a couple of branches, especially over the back here, that have died off as well. So they all need to come off. And whatever fruit looks a little bit spoiled will be going through to those girls in there. Where are you? Hey, Chook. So just to give you some idea on how large this patch is, they're growing into the door over there, all the way down to the other side of the chicken pen. And we'll walk around the other side quickly. All across the back of the pen, as you can see, and down this side as well towards my spice bed over the back there, the galangal and the turmeric, and of course on top of the pen as well. So I'm just going to take my bowl and my little snips, and we're going to go and collect as many fruit as we can, and any that look slightly dodgy I'll just toss on the ground for the chooks to enjoy. I think that is pretty much all it for this side. I think I'm going to need a larger bowl. So just inside the pen now with the girls, and as you can see, there is a whole heap on the roof as well. The idea behind this was to give the roof a bit of a shake, and a couple of tomatoes fall through for the girls. So I'm going to try and collect as many as I can from inside here, and then we've got around the back to do as well. So here's a look at the tomatoes I got from inside. There's a load more, but I'm going to try and reach them from the outside. I just grabbed the ones that were in the middle and going to be a bit hard to reach. So now I'll start working on the fruit from this side of the pen. Now time to go onto the roof. So any that are a bit manky like this, I'm just dropping straight through for the chickens. They may not eat them now, but they will eat them eventually. While I'm up here, I might trim off some of these vines as well. Make it a bit easier for me to see what I'm doing, that's for sure. Hello.
It's getting a bit dense, isn't it?
Yeah. But we're going to have loads of luscious yellow tomato sauce though.
Are you picking them or are you giving them to the girls?
Girls are getting the mankies and we're getting the good ones. And the girls are also getting some of the good ones that I can't catch. Yes. Whoops, like that one. Whoop, dropped him. There are a load that are imprisoned between wire. I think my best course of action is actually to prune this right back as I go, because the plant obviously is suffering. It's not getting enough water because it is a little bit dry here at the moment, so I'm just going to snip off these branches. It'll make it easier for me to get to the tomatoes. So yeah, I don't think it'll take too long for the plant to bounce back at all. I'll leave a couple of little suckers coming on them, so should be alright. So just to show you, there's a couple of tomatoes like this that I'm taking off that aren't quite ripe in the little bunches, so those guys there will just be put to one side. A lot of the green ones that I'm pulling off are just going to end up composted, I think, at this point. They're a little bit too small.
I also point out
Yeah.
that I think the girls are fed up with tomatoes because they're not even touching them now.
Yeah, I know, I gave them a whole heap before. So here's trimmings pile number 1, and then just out the back of the pen in the hoop house is trimmings pile number 2. That's pretty much all the back and the rear of the pen, and this stuff here is some of the top and this side. So just to give you some idea, you can actually see through the chicken pen now, and through the roof as well. Bianca came down and suggested I stop before I take too much off, and yeah, it makes sense. She basically said if I keep going we're not going to have any continual harvest, so there's a few vines on top of the roof over there, and then some over the end of the pen as well, and there's some you can't actually see growing up around the corner around there on the galangal and turmeric bed. So I'm pretty happy. Just to show you inside the pen, I can actually open my little door now so we can have a bit of a look inside. There are quite a few tomatoes on the ground in there, so I think the girls are going to be happy for a while. Yeah, I don't think they're going to want to see another tomato for a couple of days. So there's the harvest from the chicken pen. I'm pretty pleased with that. There's more than a few kilos and pounds worth of tomato in there. All sorts. We've got really ripe ones, some that need to ripen up for a couple of days, I think. So this stuff is going to be really easy to process. Some like these guys here, there's a couple of semi-ripe ones on there, and we'll just leave them on the bench and they'll ripen up eventually. I'm also going to go through the vines as well, but I won't count them in the weigh-in, and hang some of the larger sections up over the clothesline, and they generally ripen over a couple of days. So there we go, folks. There's a bit of a look at the harvest day itself. I just thought I'd bring you up to date on how much of a yield we got. It was 3.2 kilos all up on the day from just trimming them off the plant. Came back later and picked off all the ones that I'd missed, and also all the ones Bianca suggested they were yellow enough to just make up a bit of a sauce, so they were harvested as well. Ended up with a total yield of 4.2 kilograms, which is 9.2 pounds according to my phone. So yeah, it was a very good yield. Keeping in mind though, that's coming from 3 plants. There was the one I showed you to begin with, one on the diagonal far corner. That actually looks like it was a branch from last year's plant that had grown into the ground and then broken off and shot off by itself, so that's a separate plant again. And then there's one just on the other side of the cage, new plant that has popped up from the bricks that I've put down to stop dogs and foxes from digging under the night pen. So 3 plants all up. Yeah, around about 9 pounds, 4 kilos worth of fruit, so mighty chuffed. I've already got a couple that are ripening on top, so it's going to still be a continual yield for us. How I've used it, so far the bulk of them were turned into some yellow tomato paste the other night. All I did was basically throw them whole into a food processor, a few at a time, just spun them, blitzed them until they turned into a pulp. Did about 4 or 5 batches of them, put them into a large pot and just boiled them down to a nice thick rich golden paste. Maya wants to use it as a tomato base for her pizzas. On the following night I decided to whip up a tomato dish. One of Bianca's friends, Beck, g'day Beck, she gave me the inspiration for this one. Basically taking the tomatoes, chopping them in half, sprinkling them with some fresh green thyme and rosemary from the patch here, diced it up really nice and small, or chopped it up I should say, sprinkled that over the top and slow roasted them in the oven. It was fan forced 130 for about 2 hours, and I made them up to go on top of a pasta dish. The pasta dish was made up from some of the Werrikawai tomatoes I had in the freezer, also with some of the Summertime Gold. I stewed them down with a dessert spoonful of garlic paste, and also I think there was about a teaspoon of sugar just to sweeten it up a bit. Made an awesome tomato paste. Into that I stirred some warrigal greens I'd processed and put in the freezer from our patch, just to give it a bit of greenery, and then that was pretty much all it for the sauce. Poured that over some spaghetti I'd boiled up and added in some sweet basil from the patch here, and garnished with the tomatoes, the nice little oven roasted tomatoes, and some locally made Godfather salami. I think it was one of the best pasta dishes I've ever made. Had the nice spicy Godfather salami, then there was the crisp sweet basil flavour, then all the tomato through the spaghetti, and just those little herby tomato bites. Very fruity, very tangy, absolutely fantastic. Definitely something I want to make again. I'm just waiting for these guys to ripen up. So yeah, I thought I'd just run through some of the things we've made with it. I know a lot of people were asking after I posted photos to our Facebook account, so there you go folks. Also too, just to let you know, those Broad Ripple Yellow Currants, I've saved seeds from them and they're going to make up part of the giveaway pack. Once we hit 50,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a couple of tomato seeds and other bits and pieces we've saved from the patch here, just to 25-30 people around the world, so you can have a bit of a crack at trying to grow some of the stuff we do. if you're not a subscriber and this is the first one of our clips you've seen, we do urban farming to a degree here in our small backyard, aquaponics, the chickens, grow veggies in wicking beds and composting and that sort of thing. Post clips on all those subjects, so feel free to subscribe. You'll get an email letting you know when we've posted a clip to the channel and you can come suss it out. Also too, as always, feel free to leave any comments, questions or suggestions in the comment section below and I'll get back to you where I can. Thank you very much for coming along. Hope everyone is well and happy and I'll catch you next clip. Cheers folks. You can get me some secateurs, could you please?
No.
Oh, okay. See what I have to work with, people?
Oh,